Yeah, I'm ready if you are, Steve. Okay, let's call the Pipestone City Council meeting for February 18th to order, please. Could I have a roll call?
Mayor Delaney,
Here.
Councilmember Schmidt,
Here.
Councilmember Thompson, here, and Councilmember Swanson and Colbeck are both absent tonight. So we have a quorum.
Thank you. Let's all rise for our Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Approval of the agenda. Is there any additions, changes, or deletions from anyone on the agenda? Hearing none, I'd entertain a motion to approve the agenda as presented.
So move.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no, and motion carries. Next up is the consent agenda. The consent agenda contains the following items for approval: the February 3rd, 2025 special meeting minutes, the February 3rd, 2025 regular meeting minutes, the payment of claims, listing of bills, the January 2025 financial reports. I'd entertain a motion to approve those, the consent agenda.
So move.
I'll second that.
It's been moved and seconded. Any questions, discussion?
Dan, the February 1st, 2025 special meeting minutes should have been in there too.
Okay, so let's add that because I saw that there was two
Sorry,
February
yep.
3rds. So let's do, we'll also add the February 1 special meeting minutes also to the consent agenda. And if you want to amend your,
So move. I'll approve.
okay.
Yeah, I'll second it then.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the consent agenda. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed say no. Motion carries. Next up is community concerns. Do we have anyone signed in for community concerns, Stephanie?
No one has signed in.
Okay, all right. So we'll move on to the public hearing. And this is a public hearing for the Industrial Road project. And this is a permanent concrete pavement improvements to the gravel portion of the industrial road pursuant to Minnesota statute 429.011 to 429.11. The area proposed to be assessed for such improvements is all adjacent parcels, and the estimated cost of the improvements is $261,000. I would entertain a motion to open the public hearing at this time.
I'll make a motion to open the public hearing to consider the permanent concrete pavement improvements to the gravel portion of the industrial road pursuant to Minnesota statute 429.011 to 429.11.
And I'll second that motion.
Sorry.
Okay, so we have a motion on the floor. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. At this time, the public hearing is open. Is there anyone here that would like to speak at the public hearing? Okay, Jim, yeah, if you want to come up and just state your name and address at the podium for the public to hear that, and we'll get that in the permanent record and go from there.
James Hartke, otherwise known as Rusty, own Gorder's Clay and Dairy. We have just a small part of that road, but I've got two neighbors here, and I know that the amount of money that they're talking about is pretty excessive for those guys. We came to this same type of meeting a few years ago, didn't understand why you ever put curb and gutter on there in the first place. And then if you did, why you didn't block it up to keep the gravel out. We really don't need paved street there. And other places in town would receive streets that were of no cost to them. And I guess we challenged you at that time to look for any type of funding to do the street so that we could also enjoy a paved street without any funding off of our pockets. And so between the school, the city, the county, governments, and all the tax assessments, you know, taxes keep going up, and to pay on the street too, when we don't need it. It's just like, it'd be nice to drive a Rolls Royce, but I don't need one. And yeah, I'm not saying the paved street wouldn't be nice, but we don't need it. So in my point, I think you should table this and wait for any other government funding that comes around. other things, other improvements have been made. Why can't we wait and get the street done at the same time? So.
Okay, well, thank you, Jim. Anyone else? Brian?
My name is Brian Schneider. I'm the owner of the livestock auction out there. On 1987, we come to town. Been here going to be 38 years, July 1st. I've been moaning and groaning about that street ever since. Heard a lot of promises from a lot of people running this city. Heard a lot of promises about a lot of things. And never said a whole lot, but I'm sick of it. I'm just sick of it. They're dinging me every year for more taxes. What do we get out of it? You know, I mean, for 38 years approximately, you know, I get dinged every year almost for more taxes and never see any of it, you know. Other places in town, you know, you get a dental clinic out here that I can't imagine somebody, a low income person with a bad tooth is going to bring a whole lot of business to town. Well, I pack them in every Tuesday and some Thursdays and sometimes on Saturdays. You can ask just about any business in town what, you know, who do they think brings all the rural people? And these people are from out of town. They're coming to town and spending money. They're not, you know, they're not people that are here already, you know, and you would think that throughout all that time that all we wanted was a street, you know, all we wanted was a street. Can't have it, you know, but they give a free lunch to several other people. You know, I read in the paper, they're talking about another industrial park. Well, maybe you should worry about keeping the businesses you got, you know, take care of those people. I mean, it just doesn't seem right to me. And like I say, this has been brewing in my jaw for a long time, but it just don't seem right the way they want to try to, you know, build business and bring business to town. Well, that's a tough cookie when you're this close to South Dakota, you know. So I think I would suggest you maybe take care of the people you got, you know, so that you don't lose those businesses too. You know, there was a probably in the last 10, 12, 15 years, the livestock barn in Slayton, Laverne, Madison, South Dakota, and Sioux Center, Iowa have all closed. They've all closed. Well, that could happen here too, you know. So you guys, yeah, I don't like to be a complainer, but I'm complaining a lot tonight, but it just does not seem right. And I think most people will agree. Some of you guys will agree, you know. Been a lot of promises made to me through the years I've been out there. Well, they haven't been kept. You know, I had to fight tooth and nail to get a damn building permit from you guys back when you know. Now, I don't know if any of you remember what that place looked like when we took over, but it was a dump. You know, now it's pretty decent. At least when you drive by, it looks respectable. Looks very respectable. We do a lot of business. We do a lot of business. But, you know, what's fair is fair, guys. It's fair. And you're not treating us fairly out there. You know? I mean, maybe, you know, maybe I could understand it if I was still paying 1987 taxes, but I'm not. I'm not. So, I mean, it's your city. You run it the way you have to do it, but it's not right. And I think there's a lot of people that would stand behind me on that one. So, but thank you for your time.
Thank you. Anyone else like to speak at the public hearing? Steve?
Steve Everett with Everett Tire. Same as Brian, just want to say all the tax money I spent in the last 25 years out there. I wanted to figure it out, but I didn't get a chance, probably over 50 grand, you know, plus all the gravel money that cost me to do the street, which was thousands, you know, for what? And we're paying for a street that, well, like from my point, 80% of the traffic out there is semis that none of us have. Why? And they don't have to pay anything, but they're the ones that use it. So it's kind of not fair when it's supposed to be a public road, but we have to pay for everybody to drive on it. You know, so it's like Well, we could put a toll booth up, get some of our money back, or, and then if they do the road, since we paid for all that gravel, is there a reimbursement for that, or are they considering that when they take off, how many thousands of dollars of gravel for doing the road?
Travis, can you answer that as part of that, that gravel base? Is that part of what's gonna be used?
Yeah, I believe the proposal that Public Works Director Mike Blumendahl got from a local concrete business was to remove some of the base to create room for the concrete and use the rest of the base that's there.
Well, there's
that-
gonna be a lot of extra gravel by the time they take out 8 inches for the concrete. Where does that go? Do they just get that for free or what?
That would be included in their price, whatever salvage value there is for that.
Cause that's perfectly good gravel if they're probably just gonna say, well, it's part of our bid to haul it away, but then they just keep it.
Mhm. And the city could say that they're gonna keep the gravel and, do something else with it. I don't know for sure what that contractor had estimated into the bid or into his preliminary pricing, but, I guess those are things to be worked out if the project does move forward.
Yeah.
Cause obviously there's value there.
Oh yeah, there's
I
a
agree
lot
with
of money in gravel there. If you take a foot out of that whole road, that's a lot of money.
Yep, and the proposal that we're moving, or, what's being proposed now is a 7-inch concrete street. So the idea would be to remove 7 inches and pave 7 inches.
I thought they were going 8.
That was what was originally proposed. But that was back in 2018 when this project was moving forward by petition. Now city staff had got some pricing on it, and city council has initiated this process. That's why the public hearing is here tonight. If it moves forward, it would be, obviously that's still a council decision, but the pricing that was done initially this year was to do 7 inches.
And then if the process continues, it would be let for bids and
Correct,
then we would have exact dollars to work with.
correct.
So we're not to that point yet. Anyone else in the public that would like to speak on this subject? Okay, hearing none, I'd entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
So move.
I'll second that.
It's been moved and seconded to close the public hearing at this time. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed say no, and motion carries. So at this point, this is collecting information from the public hearing. No decisions have been made at this point. No bids have been let. We need to continue the process, go from there.
Yeah, because if you figure out how much taxes we've all paid over the years.
Well, appreciate your input, and that's what this is all about. And I would encourage everyone here to continue with their input, and we can arrive at a decision at a later date that's well-informed. So, thank you. Next up is engineering, and Travis, I'll turn this over to you. It's the Harmon Park Pickleball Court, pay requests 3 and 4.
So the work was completed this past summer. Dunick has completed and returned their final closeout paperwork. There was 2 pay requests that, to not complicate things, they prepared a very small one that I kind of just waited to approve until we got to this point. So the final closeout on this would be for pay estimate 3, which was $472.05, and then pay estimate 4, which was the final and releases the retainage, $12,186.28.
Okay. And the courts themselves meet the satisfaction of the engineering and no issues
the-
or
They had some questions on it. I know
Yeah,
they'd
go ahead, Roger.
redone some paint, and the paint that they used wasn't even close to matching the old paint. And they have issues with the seam that we talked about. I don't know what can be, what they gotta do but it does affect the play. And also there's a couple dips yet that collect the water yet that are just not quite perfect, or I shouldn't say perfect, but not the way it was expected to be done, I guess is what. So there is some issues there. Is there warranty on? When does the warranty start?
Warranty starts at closeout here.
If we close out, so is there, can those issues still be addressed under warranty, or are they going to deny them, I guess is what I'm asking.
So they came out and they did some repairs, and there was some, actually, I think a couple of the water spots that were there were due to the other chain link being put in there afterwards.
Okay,
And I
so
feel like,
that's not their issue. I
feel like-
realize that.
I feel like we're kind of pushing water around a little bit. I know they filled a spot in, and I know the paint didn't look right. I've looked at it a few times since, and I can't tell you if they used the same number of, same paint code number. It did look a lot different, but it seems like it's kind of blending in as time goes on. So I don't know if
Yeah,
it would
so
have
if it
faded that
faded,
much.
yeah, I don't know. I just some questions that they'd asked me, and I'm just going to put it
Yeah.
out there for you. And if you guys think it's a good idea to close it out, or if you want to, see if these issues could be addressed, or if they'd be covered under warranty. I mean, that's
We've,
something.
Are the people that use the courts, are they satisfied with them as
Well,
is,
they're
Roger?
the ones that brought it up because I talked to them this morning because
Okay.
I said, we're going to close this out. I said, do you guys, how are you sitting on these issues? And,
probably the biggest thing is that paving seam, which is a matter of when when bituminous is butted up to each other and rolled, it's not going to be completely square as if we would have used concrete, we'd have had a, flat
Yeah.
uniform surface. The other part that we struggled with was all 4 sides of this square were existing ground. So we couldn't really create a lot more slope than what we had. I think it's the best that we could do with the conditions that were present.
and probably for what the cost was. I don't know. Yeah. So
Yeah.
I was gonna bring that up. So I mean, that's for discussion and,
I say, I know the water, we've tried to do some corrections there, and I feel like we've fixed water in one spot and it kind of moves it to another spot. And the paving seam, from my perspective, there's not really anything that could be done.
and that's the one thing that I noticed, I guess, when I looked at it was that seam. But I mean, actually, for the most part, it's a nice complex, and I think there's a lot of people enjoying it because it looks like it's busy quite often. So I just was going to bring it up. So I guess that's
Okay.
up to the rest of the council
Well,
to decide on.
Entertain a motion to approve the pay requests 3 and 4.
Do you feel comfortable with that, Roger?
Well, if they put a warranty on it, if the warranty
How long is
starts,
the warranty, I guess?
I'd have to double check. Usually we do 2 years. I don't know if
Okay.
it was different than
So
that.
it'll give us some time to,
yeah. So,
I would check, but we've had some IT issues
Yeah,
the last
that's
couple
what you
days,
said.
so
yeah.
I
It'd
can't
probably be at
access my
least a
network.
year though, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was a good quality company that came down and did it. Net posts and everything, I think are kind of top of the line out there. They're a very nice system. And yeah, it's if we had an unlimited budget, we would have done pre-stress or post-tension concrete out there and had it perfect for a very long time. But we removed the surface and put a new surface on.
right?
Just a quick question. What happens if we do not approve the pay request as presented at this point? What's the outcome there?
So we would go back to a dispute situation then, and I'd have to go back and review what the contract says.
Okay.
So then, actually, they could they, not say fine us, could they, ask monetary damages from us for not complying with the contract, or is that something that could happen?
I believe and I guess Jason can chime in here too. I believe the most we can do is withhold 200% of what we feel the value of the uncompleted work is. They're saying they've done the best they can, within reasonable expectation of remedying the issues. So.
Would we create a lot of issues if we tabled this till our next regular meeting and allowed you to research it a little better?
No, I mean, they've waited 6 months to provide the closeout documents,
So it's not like that we were waiting on them. Yeah,
Yeah, so could we perhaps do that, table it until the next meeting? That way you can get
I'd
back
feel
to
a
us
little
with
better, and
warranty
I could,
information.
you know, I could maybe talk with a group that, there's like a dozen gals that play just about every
Very
morning.
regularly.
Yeah, so, and just, and see if they'd be okay. I mean, I guess they're not the ones that's gonna make the decision ultimately, but I'd feel better, visiting with them again. So,
and there were a few of the players that were out there when we met with the contractor and reviewed the concerns, and sometimes, you make things worse the more you try to fix
Right.
some of
yeah,
the
so, okay,
imperfections.
yeah, no,
Yep.
I mean, I'm open for discussion on it, so I just was gonna bring the concerns up.
so I would move that we table the pay requests 3 and 4 till our next regular scheduled meeting.
I second that.
Been moved and seconded. Any other questions, discussion? Hearing none, all in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, say no, and motion carries. New business, farmers market requests. Pipestone Farmers Market vendors are requesting permission to close the south half of the city parking lot located behind the Calumet for their farmers market every Saturday beginning June 14th through October 25th from 7:30 to 1 p.m. and every Wednesday beginning July 2nd through October 29th from 4 to 6:30 p.m. We've approved this in the past and seeking a motion to approve it again.
So moved.
I'll second that.
It's been moved and seconded to honor the farmer's market request. Any other questions, discussion? Hearing none, all in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say no, and motion carries. Resolution 25-17. This resolution accepts the following donation. In Prairie Lands Library Exchange Supplies donated $600 to the Minders Library for craft supplies. And I'd entertain a motion to accept that generous donation.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any other questions, discussion? I'd just like to formally thank the Prairie Lands Library Exchange for their cooperation and for their generous donation with the Minders Library. The Minders Library is certainly a great gift that we have here in Pipestone, and a lot of people certainly enjoy it, and we want to see that continue. So, all in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say no. Motion carries. Resolution 25-18. This resolution is a resolution declaring vacancies on the Housing and Redevelopment Authority Board Commission. And it was recently discovered that the HRA board was not in compliance with Minnesota state statute. And so this resolution would put the HRA organization into compliance with state statute. So I'd entertain a motion to approve resolution 25-18.
So move.
I'll second that.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any further discussion, questions? Hearing none, well, all in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say no, and motion carries. And I'd also like to formally thank those individuals on the HRA for their service to the city of Pipestone. And certainly valuable service, and we hope that they can continue service to Pipestone in other areas. It was nothing that they did, it was just simply state statute. So, okay. Council liaison reports, the Heritage Preservation Commission. And that would be me. So we last met January 14th, and that was an organizational meeting and elected the officers. We talked about the geocache project again that Deb and Susan are going to be working on, and that's an electronic find and treasure hunt type scenario thing, and should bring people into the area and also help tourism a little bit. We also talked about the Carnegie Library rehabilitation, and the Heritage Preservation Commission is very concerned about that building. They'd like to see it rehabilitated, and they'll be making a presentation, I think, eventually to the city council for that. And other than that, that's all we had done at that meeting. Hiawatha Pageant Park Commission, that's Verdeen now, so we'll skip that one and pick it up at the next meeting. Excuse me. Oh, sorry. Housing and Redevelopment Authority, okay, and that would be Scott, but pretty much just an organizational meeting, and that we discovered those discrepancies with state law and like we just had talked about, so we'll go from there. Human Rights Commission, that we met on January 23rd. Again, an organizational meeting for the year. We updated on the Magellan Pipeline. That was a pipeline system that was scheduled to be approved to go through about 3 miles from the city of Pipestone. And now that's been put on hold by the state of Minnesota again, so we'll see how that plays out. There's a lot of concern on that through the Human Rights Commission with that area. And then we also discussed Travis's law, and that was a question that came up at a previous meeting, and that's a law that assists law enforcement with dealing with people with mental health issues. And they were concerned how that was done, and they have a nice program. Law enforcement gave a nice presentation on it, and one of the members, Jay, presented that to the Human Rights Commission, and we're going to have more information coming up on that Travis's law too as time goes on. And let's see, we also had for new business this Pride Picnic research to find out if the city is interested in assisting with that. And that's something that has been talked about for a couple of years. And it's going to be difficult for the city to be involved with it, but we're going to look into it a little further. And that was about it for the Human Rights Commission. Planning Commission, we met on February 12th and reviewed a draft for the sign ordinance. And that's something that they've been working on for quite some time and probably will for a while yet, because the sign ordinance is very complicated. And we're probably at 70 pages. And just to get that updated so that it's not so confusing to staff when somebody comes in with a proposal. So we want to have a tool that's available to them that they can use. And we're just in the process of presenting a draft to the city council eventually. So, and that's all I had for council liaison reports. Any closing comments from anyone?
No.
Okay. Yeah, I have no closing comments other than try to stay warm, and a break is coming next week the way it sounds. So looking forward to that. So I'd entertain a motion for adjournment.
So
So
move.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed say no. And motion carries. Thank you.